morning and welcome to the regular meeting of Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. Would you please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance?
I invite you to join with me if you're willing. Gracious Father, we acknowledge that you are the owner and we are the managers of what you entrust to us. Help us to live each day in a way that generously shares the time, talents, and treasures we have been given. Whether we have little or much, help us to always live open-handed in a tight-fisted world. And for the meeting today, may our words and our actions reflect the best that is in each of us as this board considers the important issues of the day. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to do the erosion, mosquito, and sustainability district meetings first. And Commissioner Hutchinson.
We'll come to order St. Lucie County Erosion District. First on the agenda is general public comment. Seeing no one, we'll move to the approval of the minutes of September 20th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And we do have a consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion once again passes. There's no regular agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
We'll call together the Mosquito Control District regular meeting for Tuesday, the 18th of October. Any general public comment? Seeing no general public comment, I'll close it. I'll look for an approval of the Board of County Commissioner meeting of September 20th, 2022. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do I have an approval for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hutchinson, second by Commissioner Zadowski. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. There is no regular items scheduled for the regular agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Okay, we come together as the Sustainability Committee. I will open general. I won't. Barb, I'm going to let you make your presentation first.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Barbara Gettler, MSB Coordinator. One of the funding methods available for energy conservation and renewable energy improvements is to levy non-ad valorem special assessments on those properties which derive a direct benefit from the improvements. This type of assessment is based on benefit and collected along with property taxes using the uniform method pursuant to Section 197.3632 of the Florida statutes. In order to preserve this funding option, it is necessary for the board to adopt a resolution expressing its intent to use the uniform method of collecting commencing in November 2023. The resolution must be considered at a duly advertised public hearing held prior to January 1st, 2023. This is that public hearing. The resolution does not in any way obligate the county to levy special assessments. Rather, it simply satisfies the legal requirement preserving the county's option to use a uniform method of collection if a special assessments are levied. Staff recommends board adoption of the Energy SAD, Notice of Intent Resolution, and authorization for the chair to sign documents as approved by the county attorney.
Thank you. I will open this to public comment, and this public comment can be on this item or overall sustainability. Seeing no movement, we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Having nothing
All in
else.
favor?
All in
Motion to
favor?
adjourn.
Thank
Aye.
you. And I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to come back to the regular scheduled meeting. Is there any public comment, excluding public comment hearing items? Is there any public comment?
CC Scottfield.
Good morning. Please come to the podium and introduce yourself.
Good morning. I'm actually Susan Meal. CC will come later. Okay. I'm from the Alliance for Safe Trains, and this couldn't be a more timely discussion because, as you know, you all will be have started, I guess, receiving 110-mile-an-hour train tests this week. I'm here today to remind everyone here and throughout the county and Treasure Coast that there are no trains in this country, and I repeat, no trains in this country going over 79 miles an hour through open stretches of track not fenced and across over 130 at-grade crossings. Over 60 people have died already on the tracks in a little over 3 years of operation of Brightline trains. And that was going up to 79 miles an hour. But we shouldn't be surprised. The experts told us a number of things that are pertinent to today. It shouldn't be built here. Too many grade crossings, too many people. Pedestrians will die. The FRA engineer said, and this was well before they were built, trespassing is epidemic on that corridor. Bridges, fencing, and more pedestrian channeling at the crossings are needed. They're always run over budget, they always take longer, and they always lose money. And that's high-speed rail for you. It's time the Florida Department of Transportation made a priority of making Brightline safe. So we're asking everyone here today and everyone around the county to go to FL Safe Trains. That's FL like FloridaSafeTrains.com and sign our petition, which asks the governor and the Department of Transportation to do 3 things. One is study the dangers, not only open tracking and pedestrian issues and too many at-grade crossings, but you have a power plant that's within 1.5 miles of high-speed rail and which will also carry LNG, liquefied natural gas, and my friend will discuss that. Create a task force where we can increase communication among bodies like this and the communities, because the corporation seldom gives us any information about what they're doing and how they're making them safe. And lastly, delay 110 miles an hour until the governor and the Department of Transportation can assure us that everything has been done to make them safe. We're guinea pigs at this point. No other trains will go this fast in this type of environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Cece Schofield. I'm here to talk about liquefied natural gas. In a spill or breach of an LNG tank, the liquid boils, forming a flammable vapor cloud that is easily ignited. Heat radiated from an LNG fire can cause burns miles away. LNG fires cannot be extinguished with water. In Fairleigh, Nevada, vapors leaking from a 10,000-gallon LNG tanker truck ignited into an intense fire. Flames shot 40 feet into the air and burned for almost 3 days. On August 20th, 2014, the FDFC voted to be the conduit for private activity bonds for a high-speed passenger rail project proposed by Fortress Investment Group affiliate All Aboard Florida, now Brightline. 4 months later, another Fortress affiliate, American LNG Marketing, filed an application with the Department of Energy to export LNG from a facility in the Hialeah rail yard owned and operated by LNG Holdings, another Fortress affiliate. 10,000-gallon ISO containers loaded with LNG would be transported by truck or rail to the ports of Miami, Everglades, Palm Beach, Jacksonville, and Canaveral. Approval was granted on March 18, 2015, with the first export on February 5, 2016. Rail transport began in 2017. In a quantitative risk analysis that FECR provided to the FRA, numerous churches and schools were designated as potentially sensitive targets along the rail routes from Miami to ports of Miami and Everglades. The DOE authorized a company in Crystal River to export LNG from Port of Tampa. However, the port's principal counsel, Charles Klug, assured concerned citizens that the port had no plans with the company to export LNG. Fortress sold FECR to Grupo Mexico. Grupo owns infrastructure and freight operations and has an agreement with FECI, owner of Brightline, to jointly operate the FECR rail corridor. Grupo and FECI created a joint venture for train dispatching. The FRA noted LNG rail transport poses unique challenges. Scheduling LNG freight trains traveling at top speed of 40 miles per hour while sharing tracks with 110-mile-an-hour passenger trains would be challenging. The Trump administration's LNG by rail rule will introduce unit trains comprised of 80 to 130,000 gallon tank cars, thus creating a virtual rolling natural gas pipeline on wheels that would cut through the heart of our treasure coast. Could LNG be on a literal collision course with Brightline? Only time will tell. God help us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on anything that's not under a public hearing? Please, identify yourself, sir.
Good morning. I'm Ernie Clevenger. I'm an employee of Premise Health, and I was the founder of Care Here, and Care Here is the manager of your St. Lucie Medical Centers. I understand that there is a vote today to transition out of us into another, and I'm asking that you reconsider. I recognize that we began the clinic in 2009, and it was a wonderful time. I was the founder of Care Here. Our job was to listen to patients and to listen to you as our customer. When the transition occurred to Premise bought Care Here in October of 2020. That transition had stumbles. We had challenges. There are things that we should have and we could have done better. We noticed many of those, and we terminated some employees in order to improve. Every patient who exits the clinic has the opportunity to make a comment. It's a survey. And during the early parts of the transition, the survey was not good. But we have improved. We're now over 80 on the NPS, the Net Promoter Score. To give you a reference, the Net Promoter Score for Apple is under 60. So we are making progress, and we ask that you reconsider. My job is to make certain that we return this clinic to a family feel, the one that you hired us to begin with. The data shows that the number of patients before the transition and after the transition have remained steady. I've written a letter that included an exhibit, and each of you will receive it. I've also talked about NPS, about HEDIS scores, about quality scores, about EPIC, the electronic medical record that has shared over 140,000 exchanges of information with your employees and with your family members in order to get a better view of their care and deliver good care. To acknowledge what we have stumbled, then we're prepared to offer $100,000 on the next invoice as a credit if you continue with us. Beginning January 1, the fee, which is currently $23 per employee per month, would reduce to $20, a reduction of $3. So I hope that recently you've seen improvement in the way that we treat your patients, your employees, your family members. And we will continue. If I need to be down here in the clinic, I will be. When I walked into the clinic this morning, I was greeted by Carrie.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I was greeted by Carrie with a smile, immediate attention, and that's what you expect, and that's what we want to continue to deliver. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make public comment excluding public hearing items? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. We'll look for the approval of the minutes of the final budget hearing meeting of September 22nd and then the regular BOCC meeting of October 4th, 2022.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. This morning we have a proclamation to give out, and that is resolution number 22-194, recognizing the executive team, the Board of Realtors, for their advocacy and support of the economic development ad valorem tax abatement referendum. And I know Nate Parsons and his crew are here, so Nate, I'll meet you over at the podium.
A resolution recognizing the executive team of the Board of Realtors for their advocacy and support of the ad valorem tax abatement referendum in St. Lucie County, Florida. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida has made the following determinations. In partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Development Council, the executive team helped to provide advocacy resources and coordinated campaign efforts for St. Lucie County regarding the business and job recruitment tool of tax abatement that requires voters' approval for renewal every 10 years. Since local governments are not allowed by state law to advocate for or against issues of this nature, the involvement of the Board of Realtors was significant and provided needed support on this important issue. The Board of Realtors Government Affairs, a committee, voted in favor of campaign support and directed Vice President of Advocacy and Legislative Strategy, Nate Parsons, to submit an application to the Florida Realtors Issues Mobilization Committee to request funds to provide advocacy resources and support. Following the submission, presentation of the application, and final approval by the Florida Realtors leadership team, they were approved for a grant to fund 2 mailers that each reach close to 20,000 households, a 30-day digital campaign with hundreds of daily impressions, text message to roughly 20,000 voters, and live calls to 7,000 households. The Economic Development ad valorem tax exemption referendum passed by a margin of 54% of citizens voting in favor of granting the county the authority to use this economic development tool for the next 10 years. County Administrator Howard Tipton said, "There is no doubt in my mind that your advocacy efforts made the difference. For the next decade, our community's economic future is brighter. Thanks for your support. Thank you very much. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida, does hereby recognize and thank the executive team of the Board of Realtors for their advocacy and support of the economic development ad valorem tax abatement referendum in St. Lucie County, Florida, passed and duly adopted this 18th day of October 2022.
May I have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Before I let Nate speak and we'll get a picture, I just want to tell you, we as county commissioners, because of state statute, we can only educate, we couldn't advocate. But on behalf of all of us, we're very happy this passed, and we thank you very much for your support to get it over the finish line. Nate?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the board. Obviously, this is something that's very important to our community, and our association believes strongly in being a resource to the community, being a partner to the county and to the citizens of this community. We were so happy to help out with this advocacy efforts and bring this much-needed economic development tool to keep St. Lucie County competitive with the rest of the state, while also protecting and promoting all of the hallmarks of this great area. We don't have much more information to share, but our Realtors Association does a lot more and partners in so many other ways. We believe that realtors are really the stewards of the community. They're the ambassadors of the community, and we want to continue promoting the community in a positive light. There is our website, ourworld.com, and we also have a consumer campaign that Chair Mitchell actually attended the unveiling of, Only a Realtor, and that can be found at www.onlyarealtor.com, and that shows all of the things that a realtor brings to the table. But we thank you so much for this opportunity to partner with you all and keep fighting for St. Lucie County, and we just appreciate this recognition. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 7, presentations, a status update in the American Rescue Plan. Joining us will be Lori Rocky and Alfonso Jefferson.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Alfonso Jefferson, Deputy County Administrator. I'm here with Lori Rocky. I'll let her introduce herself. But we're here this morning to just give you a status update on the American Rescue Plan dollars and the use of those particular dollars. As the board is aware, we have been following the scheduled plan that has been approved by the board, which really focuses more on water projects and also utilities projects. At our last update to you, we did communicate to you the movement of we talked about not the movement of funds, but the reallocation of funds back into reserves that we had money set aside for a grant program. But based on discussions with the board and the direction from the board, we put those monies back into the reserves so that the board can make a determination on how to proceed at a later point in time with those particular dollars. Because at the time, we did share with the board, there are some unmet needs that have been identified in various locations. And so the board, at some point, we'll have a discussion on how to proceed with those dollars to address some of those unmet needs. I'd like for Lori to take you through where we are on those particular projects, and so that the board can have a discussion on that.
Good morning, Chair and Commission. Lori Rocky, for the record, Government Relations. Our name has just recently changed, so we are now Government Relations. And I'm happy to be here today to show you all just a few slides. It's just a couple, just to give you all an update of where we're at. There are a couple of items. This slide shows our overall American Rescue Plan allocations. There are a couple of things that I just wanted to highlight for you so that you knew the status. I do want to mention that all of the numbers that you see on these slides, they are as of the last quarter, June 30th, because I have not finished the reporting and collecting all of the information for the year end of 9/30 with old year. I'm still working on those for the U.S. Treasury reporting, so that information will come to you in a future meeting of where we are currently after the 9/30. So, but a couple of things that I do want to let you know is that our fiber, the digital access project that we had with the school board, that contract has been completed. The money has been transferred to the school board, and we are actively holding meetings with them and going through the process of setup and getting all of all of the logistics done to make this program happen. And the school board's working really diligently towards that effort, along with Comcast. I also wanted to mention that the Housing Hub, just last week, we were able to complete the contract. We have the signed agreement for the Housing Hub for the $500,000, which is $250 per year for 2 years. That contract is in place now. The housing assessment, housing needs assessment, that item is in draft, and we are working and negotiating to get that contract signed as well. The last item on this slide that I want to discuss with you is the jail medical wing study. I wanted to let you know that on today's consent agenda, there is item 8B3, which is the request, as you asked us to bring it back for a formal approval of the moving $7,220 out of the American Rescue Plan reserves and moving that into the jail medical wing study to completely cover the contract cost on that item. Okay, so for these next 2 slides, when we came to you at the last informal, the information that we provided to you was on a Gantt chart form. So what I've taken is those details and put them in a tabular form that makes it easier for you and for the public to be able to understand the funding situation, because the Gantt chart is so large I could not have put it on a slide and allowed for you all to see it very clearly. So this information is the same information that was on that chart that you received previously. And it just goes through and it shows you where our unmet needs are, as our estimates are now, our total project cost estimates. We'll know those firm construction estimates when we get closer to the end of design. The items in the stormwater, as we discussed with you before, they are all under contract except for Melville Road, Indian River Estates, and Hogpen Slough. Those 3 items are not under. The rest are all under design contract. Here's the listing with our utility projects. Same thing, and I think this is where there's going to be some discussion today on where we end up with both of these areas and how we're going to work towards those unmet needs. These projects, this again is the same information. If you want more information, George is available for him to come up and discuss with you any of the utility shortfalls that you see here. And that's it. That's probably the shortest presentation ever in my 1 year that I've been doing this now, so I'm excited about that. Do you have any questions? Is there anything that we can help you with?
Commissioner Hutchinson?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I have a couple questions on here, and it's more for board discussion than anything, but I just want to verify, Lori, with you on the, if you go back to your very first slide breakdown on the fiber broadband, it appears from what you were saying that there's $212,000 left in there, give or take?
Yes, ma'am.
Since it's completed?
At this time, that's not allocated. That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I would like to at least have some discussion or not to just go ahead and pick a project off of stormwater. There's one, Hogpen Slough cleanout, that would take that entire funding and finish that project as far as supporting it.
Which one was that, Commissioner?
Hogpen.
Well, I'm
Hogpen
going to
Slough?
give, it's for discussion because there's a lot of ways you can work this. The Hogpen Slough, which is 212, so you're right there. Or you could break it down and finish out phase 3, the funding of that, of Indian River Estates, and add into it the Melville Roads shortness of that little bit and still have additional funding. So, I mean, if you look at the stormwater projects, it's kind of a pick and choose. But I'm just a firm believer if we started something, let's get it funded out there and get it done so we know we're not having to go into general fund monies, because this is what this is to be used for. And then going back to reserves, again, for further discussion, if you go back to your first page.
Yes, ma'am.
There you go. It shows almost 3,456 plus dollars left in the $1 million left in the reserves. Because we're moving along, if you go back and you look at either the stormwater projects, that reserves could cover everything, or the option to continue letting infrastructure tax dollars, the sales tax ones, continue funding those like we had thought to do, and move it down to the utilities, which is showing 3153 short in funding to do all the projects other than the ones of the TBDA or TBDs. Does any of that make any sense?
Sure. Both of them.
I would rather see projects.
One's within $7 and the other one's just dead on.
Right. So it's kind of like this way the money's dedicated. We don't have to keep going through these, reports type of thing. The staff's been given notice that to proceed forward with it because the funding's there. And again, not knowing what's coming, but if you talk to everybody out there, they say a recession's coming kind of thing, and I don't want to dare touch general fund dollars if we've got this in here to be used this way. So I'd like to at least to have some conversation.
No, I agree, and if the reserves are there, use them so that the projects are completed.
Right.
Just goes along with what we've been saying from day one about any of the revenues coming in, whether it be half-cent sales tax or the ARP money, or any of these other funds. It's about putting the job first, getting it done and completed. So I'm in favor of completing all of these.
Because the money's sitting there.
I absolutely agree.
Commissioner Hutchinson, it makes perfect sense to me, too.
I was just going to say, unless there's any stipulation from
there's not
you, I mean, we're good with doing that, correct?
As far as any knowledge that I have to any of the outstanding situations, it is the board's will of what you want to do with those reserves. We were holding them. Originally, remember, it was called a COVID set-aside. We discussed it. We moved it towards the rescue plan reserves because, the COVID piece of it seemed to be going to a back burner situation. So that really is going to be the will of the board and administration as to the direction that we move with
So
those
if I've
funds.
got this correctly,
Thank
and
you.
Commissioner Hutchinson, I'll let you make the motion, but in other words, take the 212 from broadband and put it into the storm
Right, that's
water
the
at Hog
excess,
Pen
and that
Slough.
one's been finished, as to what she said.
Mhm.
So it could easily get moved over and take your pick. I mean, I'm not going to be picky about it, but I mean, we can kick
Well,
out
that dollar
one.
matches
'cause
up
all of them are
perfectly.
important,
Yep.
but it's kind of one of those, you're right there on finishing up either one totally or two or three by mixing it around.
Just going to share an experience.
Okay.
Paradise Park took 12 years to finish because we phased, phased. And so the revenue is there by the grace of the federal government, and our citizens deserve to have projects completed. And I'm in full support of completing the whole list.
The whole list on what?
All of the ones that are short, including taking the
Well,
reserves. and
okay,
then
now we're going to
moving-
talk another thing, because I'll point something else out.
Okay, maybe I missed
There,
it then.
no, I agree with you, because if you really want to get creative, and Commissioner Townsend, I'm going to need your input on this one, because I know this was a pet project of yours that you worked very hard and diligent on. There's $2 million laying there for the Lakewood Park portable water project that, having seen the latest results and stuff, it does not look like it's going forward. That could be easily moved and included to cover instead of being earmarked just for that. That's an option, but Commissioner Townsend, I don't know. I don't want to take if you think there's a chance.
I
and
think
move it
there's a
around.
chance.
Okay.
And I think the problem was it was at the end result, the number, and that will help get down the number that's needed.
I
for-
thought that number was used before those ballots
Well-
were sent out.
That goes towards something else that I think George is working with. It's going to be coming forward in the future.
Okay. All right, so again, I mean, I don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul,
Yeah.
but I was not under the impression that that project was moving forward without the residents.
Want to give us some insight on that, George?
Morning, Chair, Commissioners. George Lander, Director of Public Utilities, Solid Waste for the record. To your question, the Lakewood Park project temporarily on hold since the results of the MSBU from the voice of the residents. However, with the infrastructure money that's potentially out there, that's still working its way through legislature, there might be some opportunity there, and we don't know if those funds will work with ARP funds or not, and things of that nature. So we would like to try to retain those dollars inside the utility, just in case opportunity arises, or if we have to shift to another project.
Do you have
utilities?
Any clue as how long we'll have to wait to know that?
I'd have to defer to possibly Nicole to find out about where the status of that infrastructure is and
It's
that
too
bill
early
is
in
and
the
things of that
session,
nature
yeah.
to see how long we're waiting on there. But we also do have some other projects inside the utility that we could look to use those dollars towards if it's at the will of the board.
And the other thing is, with the infrastructure money that's sitting out there, having that money sitting there is seed money to be able to show that we are moving forward and we already have some funding sitting in place. And so it will help us be qualified to go after some of that infrastructure grant funding. And there is another option that has not been brought before the board yet that we're kind of discussing, that will be coming before us at an informal, that money's going to be needed for.
So you'd like to wait for
Yes.
that? Okay.
And I respect that.
Okay.
That's why I thought I'd ask.
Right, absolutely.
Thank you.
So, Franny, do you want to work on the two that we had discussed, the utility money, the
Okay, I'm
31?
going to, I'll make a motion that we take the 212.16 excess on the fiber now that that's completed and put it towards stormwater projects. And is everybody, is there at least do you want to describe which ones, or pick one, two, or how do you want to do it, or have staff bring that back?
We got
or-
Melville for $2,500, which is cheap. You got $160,000 for
Indian River States Phase 3.
Now you're at 187.65.
And
so,
And then Hog
So
Pen
just
Slough
put
is
the
what,
the other one next to Hog Pen Slough.
I think
'cause
Hog Pen's
those are all,
important.
yeah,
Hog
so do
Pen,
I.
it's a priority to me, so.
It's a match. I mean,
Well,
that's
and we also
dollar
have the
for
City of
dollar.
Port St.
Yeah.
Lucie working with it.
can't hear.
City of Port St. Lucie's working with it too.
Okay.
and the 10 Mile Creek.
All of them are, that's why I'm saying
Yeah.
it's,
So, just for clarification, I'm not, for that 212 that we're talking about, you're looking at Hawpen Slough, Melville Road, and I apologize, I didn't hear the last
Indian
one.
River Estates.
Indian River Estates Phase 3.
Is, okay. Just need that for clarification, is, so that we have that documented correctly as you make a determination on your vote for this.
Well, you complete 2 and then you add some funding to Hogpen, so it's chipping away at the bigger picture.
And those are 3 of the oldest projects that have been sitting out there that I think affect the majority of the
And Indian
most.
River
and it
Estates
completes
actually
it.
has 2 more phases to go
Right,
through.
and so it completes those for now, though, so.
So would it be?
I'll make the recommend,
Okay.
moving forward, that we'll put Indian River Estates, the Melville, and put the rest of the balance over to the Hogpen Slough.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Madam, Mr. Chair,
And
if I
that
could,
was a motion by Commissioner Hutchinson and a second by Commissioner Zadowski.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could now go to the reserve one.
Absolutely.
I would like to make a motion to take $3.4 million and put it over toward, well, 3.153 million dollars that is needed for the utility projects to bring all those out of the red and paid for out of the reserves, which should still leave like 1.5 in reserves.
I'll second the motion.
Just for clarification, you want to take the,
All the utility projects that are listed in the red.
all the utility
That
projects covered from the
3.1
reserves.
million, take it out of reserves. The total reserves, which is the 3.4.
So it leaves about 300-some thousand within
Correct.
reserves.
That's fine.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion by Commissioner Hutchinson, a second by Commissioner Townsend. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Who's been carrying the rest of the, who's been taking notes on the numbers, where we are?
Lori
I
has
think
it.
Lori.
How much is left and
I was
what can we
I
finish?
haven't been doing the math. I've been
It's
keeping
about
track of the
300,000, I think. So can you go back to the second slide, please?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Sorry.
That takes you back to Hogpen to finish that.
Yes. Would you like us to take the remaining reserve amount, whatever that number is, to go back to stormwater projects? Or keep that about 300,000 in reserves?
Well, we put the remaining money from the 212 into Hogpen, and that took that down.
Correct.
And so that will finish Hogpen.
Hogpen.
Go back to that slide.
Which one? Stormwater?
Right there, yeah.
I mean, that's a main drain that we need, and we're going to need for the Tilton Road area in the future.
Indian River States.
Indian
we
River
can
State
finish
specifically,
out.
yeah.
So we
So
can
that'll
cover.
complete that entire project as
So
well.
that will complete out Hawpen Slough.
Then you'll have probably 50,000 left, give or take.
Put that in reserves.
Okay. Can we get a vote on that last item from the reserves to move?
motion to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Townsend to finish
Second.
off Hogpen Slough and whatever monies are remaining to put back in reserves, which will be approximately $50K. We have a motion by Commissioner Townsend and a second by Commissioner Bartz. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Good
Mr.
job.
Chairman,
good.
thank you very much, and thank you to staff.
No, good thinking, Fran.
Yes, and so when we come back with the quarterly reporting for the September 30th end date, I'll have all of those numbers plugged in so that you can see them in the
You'll
format.
plug them in?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, can you send that to us when you finish it, so we have it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay, we're on to the consent agenda. Does anybody want anything pulled for discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion, but I just want to let you know that some of the items, like the jail medical wing study funding allocation increase, that's from the American Rescue Plan dollars. I believe that's it.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Townsend and a second by Commissioner Bartz. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We move on to public hearings. First up is Planning and Development Services, second public hearing for county-initiated land development amendments, and that will be done by Ben Balser. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Mitchell and Commissioners. Ben Balser, Assistant Planning and Development Services Director. For the record, I'm filling in for Maite Santa Maria this morning. I will be presenting Agenda Item 9A1 pertaining to a Land Development Code amendment creating an administrative variance process and providing for a special magistrate to serve as the Board of Adjustment. This is the second hearing for the potential adoption of the amendment. As required by the Land Development Code, this item was publicly noticed on October 6th. The purpose for this amendment is to create an administrative variance to streamline the regulatory process for setback variances for single-family dwelling units and residential accessory structures, for example, pool enclosures and sheds. Additionally, the amendment would provide for a special magistrate to serve as the Board of Adjustment. This slide displays an excerpt of the administrative variance proposed code. The administrative variance process will streamline the regulatory process for applicants by increasing staff's ability to provide administrative approvals for single-family homeowners to address variance requests up to 35% of the minimum front, rear, and side setbacks within the agricultural and residential zoning districts. This would only address setback variances. While this new code section only addresses variance requests to the front, rear, and side yard setbacks, it still captures the majority of variance requests submitted to the county. This new code section would be similar to the existing administrative variances for the required minimum yard setback standards for recreational vehicle parks and mobile home parks. Additionally, the new code includes the authority to approve variances of 6 inches or less without a formal application and notice for existing single-family homes and accessory structures, as this would be a de minimis request. I included in the table the examples in the yellow columns of max setback variances that can be processed administratively, but an applicant may not get the maximum based on the review criteria. The administrative variance process includes specific criteria to review the requested setback variances, which include all requests shall demonstrate good and sufficient cause, the request will not impair or injure other properties or improvements, the request is the minimum variance necessary to make possible the reasonable use of land, buildings, and structures. The request will not result in any encroachment into environmentally sensitive resources or an access or utility easement or common area. And the request is not for more than 35% into the required front, rear, or side yard setback area. The amendment also includes a requirement to notice all property owners within 500 feet of the subject property and a posting of a sign on the subject property, and provides for a public hearing before the Board of Adjustment if written objections are received from the property owners within the 500-foot notification area. There is also an appeal process for any person aggrieved by an administrative decision to the Board of Adjustment. As noted previously, the administrative variance process is anticipated to address most of the variance requests, which is typically 12 to 15 total per year. As such, the proposed code includes modifying the Board of Adjustment. Based on the proposed code, a special magistrate would serve as the Board of Adjustment to further streamline the overall process. The special magistrate would be appointed by the Board of County Commissioners and serve at their pleasure. The individual must be a retired Florida judge or be a member in good standing of the Florida Bar for a minimum of 5 years. The RFP for the special magistrate includes that the individual reside in St. Lucie County or the Treasure Coast. It is anticipated that the special magistrate serving the Board of Adjustment would meet infrequently based on the proposed amendment. Staff finds this petition to meet the standards of review as set forth in Section 11.06.03 of the St. Lucie County Land Development Code and is not in conflict with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends the Board adopt the proposed text amendment to the Land Development Code as presented in proposed ordinance 2021-29. I am available to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? This is a public hearing. Was anyone from the public wish to speak on the subject item? Seeing none, I'll close public hearing.
Mr. Chair, move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Zadowski, seconded by Commissioner Townsend. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to 9B1, which is Culvert MSBU Notice of Intent. Barb Gettler will be presenting. And again, this is a public hearing.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Barbara Gettler, MSB Coordinator. One of the funding methods available for capital improvements and essential services is to levy non-ad valorem special assessments on those properties which derive a direct benefit from the improvements. This type of assessment is based on benefit and collected along with property taxes using the uniform method pursuant to Section 197.3632 of the Florida statutes. In order to preserve this funding option, it is necessary for the Board to adopt resolutions expressing its intent to use the uniform method of collecting commencing in November 2023. The resolutions must be considered at duly advertised public hearings held prior to January 1st, 2023. The aforementioned resolutions do not in any way obligate the county to levy the special assessments. Rather, they simply satisfy the legal requirement preserving the county's option to use the uniform method of collection if special assessments are levied. Because these are public hearings, it is necessary to open each item separately. Staff recommends Board adoption of the Notice of Intent resolutions, authorization for the Chair to sign documents as approved by the County Attorney.
Thank you. Again, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to discuss Public Works B1? Seeing none, I'll close public comment on number 1. We have a motion by Commissioner Zadowski, a second by Commissioner Bartz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. On to number 2. Again, is a public hearing.
This is going to be the same.
So open and close each
yeah,
one.
it's just open and close each one after the first one.
Same language.
Yes.
So just, she's just gonna go, you'll go 2, open, close.
Oh, okay. Open for public comment on number 2. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on 2? Seeing none, I'll close public hearing and we'll
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hutchinson, second by Commissioner Townsend. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Number 3, Taylor MSBU, Notice of Intent. Public hearing. No one here to speak about it publicly. I'll close public hearing.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Townsend, seconded by Commissioner Zadowski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Closing, opening number 4, Property Cleanup, SAD, Notice of Intent. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this subject matter? Seeing none, I'll close public comment.
Move approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Zadowski, second by Commissioner Bartz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to number 5, Rose Lane, Notice of Intent. Is there anybody from the public who would like to discuss this subject matter? Seeing none, I'll close public comment.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Townsend, second by Commissioner Bartz. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Number 6, Taylor Creek. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone like to speak on this subject matter? Seeing none, I'll close public hearing.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hutchinson, seconded by Commissioner Zadowski. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Gettler. We'll move on to 10A1, which is the County Attorney, Mr. McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item relates to a proposed termination of our April 1st, 2009 agreement with Care Here LLC. Was also the subject of public comment. In way of background, in April of 2009, we did enter into an agreement with Care Here LLC to staff and operate the county's employee health clinic. That agreement's been amended 8 times, as indicated in the board memorandum. The agreement does allow the county to terminate the agreement without cause upon 180 days prior written notice. Based on a review of the existing service provided by Care Here, county staff believes that it's in the best interest of the county to exercise its right to terminate that agreement without cause. Please note that Premise Health acquired Care Here in 2020, again, as indicated in public comment. Mr. Chair, I believe the county administrator would like to provide a few thoughts on, as an overview of how we got to the decision today.
Thank you. Mr. Tipton?
Yes, thank you, Mr. McIntyre, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm just going to go over kind of just the business approach that the county takes to this. So there was a time when the employee clinic was high functioning and added value in terms of our employee health care and well-being. There was a time when the employees and dependents could get in the same day to be seen. There was a time when it was a physician-based practice and you felt that there was someone quarterbacking your care and treatment. I believe to a person, including those on this dais, and for many throughout our organization and those agencies we contract with, that the clinic no longer meets these expectations and hasn't for some time. The purpose of the employee clinic is to catch health issues early, provide wellness checkups and guidance for needed lifestyle changes. It also ties back, importantly, to directly helping to focus on those illnesses that we see as driving our health insurance costs. So if, for example, hypertension-related illnesses are common and impacting employee health, and by extension, healthcare costs, the clinic should provide checks for that and wellness guidance that help reduce that threat. Whether it's hypertension or heart disease or diabetes, by focusing on common health impacts, the county, through the clinic, is able to keep people healthier and more productive and reduce insurance claims that would otherwise drive up our costs. When employees aren't using the clinic and going to their own physician, or even worse, just not seeing anyone at all, health risks increase, as do insurance expenses. The county has seen our health insurance renewal this year double to 16%, with a huge increase in high claimants. The county's HR director has shared concerns with Care Here, Premise Health, and the improvement needed just hasn't materialized in time. The current provider arrangement is not meeting the business expectations, and I am recommending that the board terminate without cause the agreement with Care Here for employee clinic services. If approved, this would trigger a 180-day notice to Care Here that their services will be ending 6 months from now. Staff will be working to bring to the board another clinic provider and work towards a smooth transition that maintains employee health care throughout this time frame. And that concludes my remarks, Mr. Chair.
Any comments?
Staff recommends approval of the termination.
Any comments from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to number 3, permission to advertise.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, Property Acquisition Manager Joanne Riley will be presenting this item, but before she does, I'd like to ask Mr. Tipton, our County Administrator, to provide an overview of the reasons why we think this is in our best interest.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, this is a really exciting opportunity, I believe, for the county to entertain. As you know, the county sits as the Port Authority, and there are a number of roads within the Port Authority that provide that connectivity that really is key to the future success of what we're trying to achieve. The city of Fort Pierce currently maintains the roads inside the port. And as you could imagine, not a knock on the city, but it is a low priority for them just because it's not heavily traveled by their residents. Conversely, it's a very high priority for the county because that is, in many ways, the first impression that people have as they come into the port or as they're getting off of a boat at Director. They're going through Harbor Street or Port Avenue and finding they may lose a few fillings by the time they get through to 2nd Street. But in the larger scheme, it really is about being able to control our own destiny. And again, the county, this board sits as the Port Authority. We have some major projects that are going to be coming through in addition just to the rehabilitation of Port and Harbor. Avenue M is going to be either moved, hopefully, to the north and built, or remain where it is and finished, so that that is your primary access into Harbor Point. That is a major undertaking that the county has in front of us, and will along with the development of Harbor Point, create one of the great features in the Port of Fort Pierce. One of the reasons that the port director and myself are recommending this is that we believe there are substantial state grants that are out there that will help us pay for this infrastructure. So as Commissioner Townsend was mentioning earlier, in terms of leveraging the existing dollars that we have, we can take our dollars and turn them into many more and accomplish this infrastructure goal. So I think it's a great opportunity for the board as the Port Authority to set their future and control it, and so that's why we are recommending moving this to a public hearing for your consideration.
And what are the thoughts of the board?
Motion to approve.
You have a motion by Commissioner Townsend, a second by Commissioner Hutchinson. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Mr. Chair, I'm just going to add, and kudos, Mr. Tipton, on moving that forward, but I hope we can have continued conversations that we can at least switch and/or they can take over some of the arrows on other projects.
I'm sure that conversation will continue.
I said that nicely.
I knew you were coming with this. It was just a matter of time.
Okay, moving on to number 4, Resolution 22-198.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the county's protocols, the Public Safety Director actually declares a state of emergency with the concurrence of the county administrator and county attorney, and that was done in the course of Hurricane Ian. But what we like to do is have the board ratify those that go in 7-day increments. We are continuing the extension because we're still in the process of doing hurricane cleanup. We believe that will help us potentially get FEMA reimbursement. It's not a guarantee. There are no guarantees with FEMA, but we think it's in our best interest to continue to do that. And so we're recommending that you adopt this resolution ratifying this declaration and the extensions to date.
Move approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner
Second.
Zadowski, second by Commissioner Townsend. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to B, Human Resources. I believe that'll be Tom Epsky.
Morning, Chair, Board. For the record, Tom Epsky from your Human Resource team. With me is Rick Carmona, our Human Resource Generalist.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we have presented you with the proposals that we have received. We had placed, I believe, 26 RFPs out. We received 5 responses. 1 was a negative. The 4 before you are the 4 that have responded that they were interested in assisting with the board. I would imagine that the discussion today would be for the board to look at the proposals and help provide direction to your staff on the alignment of the board's vision for the process for search on the new county administrator position, and how that aligns with your personal philosophy on how that process should play out.
Thank you, Tom.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Can I start this conversation, please?
Yes, please.
I would like to move forward on this, and I will be selecting Colin Basinger, mostly when you look at, for several reasons, having worked with him in the past, and he did a good job then. And the process that he followed was really pretty good. Back when you look at the price, it's a set price. There's no surprises, no additional costs that come into play, which every other one has that type of thing. And then, because he's also familiar with how we work here. He's done this in the past. He's who brought us Mr. Tipton to begin with.
So, Commissioner, just to clarify on the spreadsheet that you were given on the proposal summary, Mr. Basinger does list some additional services at a rate of $150 per hour, which you see on the bottom of the orange section of the sheet. So if there was any additional services, I believe SGR...
But those have to come back to us.
And those have to come back,
Yeah, those
correct.
would be separate from what's in the contract and his coverage.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so, okay, thank you.
And Mr. Chair, I was going to ask about that lower section of that sheet. There wasn't the narrative with it that explained exactly what that was about. But each of them had a number of things listed. So I wasn't sure if they all were in that same vein. And again, an open-ended situation, which we talked about last discussion on this, is leaving things open like that.
Right. So what we presented here would be if the particular firm had detailed what they were proposing in additional services, we listed it out. If you don't see a number indicated there, they had not proposed that, or it would have to be negotiated as an extra fee for service.
Okay, that helps me. Thank you.
I tell you what, I pretty much did a deeper dive on all of these, and I had ranked SGR as number one. I think they got a lot of great national respect, and also have a history here in Florida. And I had Basinger as second, but that's just me.
So one of the things also, by virtue of our last discussion, you asked about the situation where they were housed, where they're located. So under the blue columns, you can see a POC. That is the point of contact. Two of the firms, Basinger and S. Renee Narlock, the principals have agreed to lead the process, where in GovHR and Strategic Government Resources, they would have an additional associate that would handle the process for us. All are, however, housed somewhat in Florida. They do have local or offices that they have here with staff.
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry,
Commissioner.
Commissioner. I was just going to say, too, that location would, again, depending on the board's desire for a more personal or interactive, to have the person on site, that would increase your travel costs and per diem expenses, depending on the location.
And that was where I was starting to go with that conversation. The other was, we also, at the last discussion, had talked about the ability to have FAC or NACO review what we had in-house that you were bringing in, as to any input that they may have had from a national or a statewide aspect. You provided some of the comments from either the county administrator, city manager, et cetera, from that standpoint. Did any of these stand out to you from either one of those organizations as being exemplary, or any concerns beyond what I saw in the emails that were listed as their responses?
Yes, sir, and unfortunately my answer to you is going to be they were all exemplary. Everybody gave a 5-star review of all of the potential firms. There was no concern raised by any of them.
And my only other concern or statement for this conversation, Commissioner Hutchinson, you and I were here for the, and actually Commissioner Bart, you were here too, is, you were? For Howard? Yeah, I guess you were.
No.
Oh, okay.
It was just you and Franny.
But my thought process there was, given what we achieved with Basinger and his understanding of what the board at the time, our positioning, our culture shift, our focus on economic development, all of those things were important to the board at that time, and have clearly continued on in the following boards. So having that knowledge as to how we operate individually and collectively, I think is important for us to be able to understand where, in this case, Mr. Basinger would go in his search. So I think that's really an important part of this. And we talk about institutional knowledge, and Franny, we had this conversation all the time from the dais, that institutional knowledge is really an important part of what we do. And so I'm supportive of Basinger for that reason, and the fact that he understands the culture of where we've been, where we're going, and what we've been able to achieve, and has been very successful in that. So that's my thought process today.
Any other comments from the board?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Barth.
So Commissioner Zadowski, you may be thinking something else, and that is that I did work with Basinger when I was with the city of Port St. Lucie, and we actually used him for a couple of searches. He knows not just the county, but the surrounding area. He knows for all those reasons that you talked about. He's got the knowledge of our area. He has an idea of what we've been looking for, what he can present to us. So I also would be supporting that firm.
Yeah, and as part of that conversation, these other firms are excellent, but for Mr. Basinger to actually implement himself and coming back into the fray, knowing that he was on the fringe of maybe moving into a different position in his own company, more to retirement and so on. But I think he feels that he's seen what good he's done here with, don't get a big head, Mr. Tipton. but seriously, the results of the last one continue to really resonate with me, and I'm hoping that we find somebody that can equal, never better, Mr. Tipton, than you, but nonetheless.
Any comments, Commissioner Townsend?
No, I mean, my two were the two you chose, actually, Mr. Mitchell. But he was one of them, so if it's a consensus of the board, I'm fine with that.
And being a team player, I did have SGR as a high number 1, but number 2 was Bessinger, so I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bartz and a second by Commissioner Zadowski to hire the firm Colin Basinger and Associates. Madam Secretary, no, we'll just do this. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your direction, sir.
Where are we? Okay, number 2, inmate medical stop loss policy renewal.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to go ahead and make the motion, and I'm just going to simply say, I'm not happy with the number, but with what insurance is doing today, I think we're very, very fortunate to have them renew our policy. I don't think we can do any better than this, and I think that we just need to move this forward, and I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second with a comment. This has been, since my first day on the job, has been this issue in inmate medical and the cost associated with it. We have asked, pleaded, we've explained over and over how the system works and why we need some help in managing the inmates as they come and go, inside the jail, outside the jail. We talked about, we're looking at the medical wing for the facility out there. We've got to find a way to change this. We have veterans that can't get services, and here, inmates were required to do this, and it comes off taxpayer dollars. And so we've got to find a solution, and we have to have willing partners in the system, that which is the court system, the correction system, and quite frankly, the state. The state could help us by simply getting us to the 10% Medicaid rate in which we negotiate with the hospitals that take care of these folks. They have that ability to have 10% Medicaid. The other is, Commissioner Bartz, you've pounded your fist on the table in the federal government when I've seen you go into action about why are these folks losing their benefits if they haven't been adjudicated, and whether they're a veteran, whether they have insurance, whatever the case. That shouldn't be borne upon the residents and the taxpayers of St. Lucie County or anywhere in the state. If they have insurance, if they have veteran service funding, Social Security, etc., until they're adjudicated, that shouldn't be a loss of their benefits, and it shouldn't be a burden to the taxpayers. So there's a bigger question here. There's a bigger issue here. But we've got to be able to do the stop loss, and my fear is that if this doesn't change this year, we may lose our opportunity to even have stop loss.
Well, it's gone up 600%, and if we have one major hiccup this year, we will be self-insured. I can guarantee you that. We have a
Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Bartz, Commissioner Hutchinson.
Go ahead.
I know they've already heard it from me. Sure. on it because that price is just, but the last time, as I recall, that we had prices that were up this high, and some of you may have still been on the board then. We actually charged the public safety, of which I know Commissioner Bartz chairs. Do you not chair it? And we put it to them. And I think you've done that in the past. You're going to do it again? That's all I have to say. Because it goes back to, it was that partnership of making everybody aware. Because as these prices increase, the less the court system's going to be able to get from us for the projects that they want done and their needs. So, I mean, it's a balancing act on it. So I think if everybody's got so-called skin in the game of trying to get these prices down lower, it would be helpful. So I would just like to, I'm glad you've already scheduled that, Commissioner Bartz, because that's where I was headed with it. If you haven't, please do so.
Commissioner Bartz.
So, as Commissioner Zadowski said, I beat my head against the wall several times and several different walls regarding this. And this is a piece of the puzzle, but working with the judicial system and working with NACO, there is a good possibility. We have some things coming down the pike, and we'll be bringing that before you, but it's got to be done. I mean, you know, we live on the premise that you are innocent until proven guilty. So to strip you of all of your rights is just wrong. And not only do we have it now when it's in the jail, but when they get released, and I've said this before, the charges are dropped, they're adjudicated, and you know, there's just a multitude of reasons. They have a problem getting those benefits back after, which is certainly a fairness issue, at least for me. So I'm going to continue. We are in front of the Public Safety Committee. I have talked about this numerous times. And once again, if you see dents in the wall in our upstairs boardroom, they may be from me. So if you want to do DNA on the hair or anything,
I may join you in that, actually, if the invite is open. I appreciate that. And thank you, commissioners, for your support in that. We are diligently working towards everything that we can do on our end to lower the costs that we are seeing. And as Chair Mitchell stated, the likelihood that we'll be self-insured next year is pretty significant. I would be amazed, as I was this year, that we were reinsured. I honestly thought it would be coming out of, even though it is, coming out of our pockets to fund all of these. So very fortunate that we are this year. I don't think our luck is going to hold up. So anything that we can do, Director Epsky and myself would love to attend the Public Safety Committee meeting. I was present for the last one where inmate medical was brought up. So whatever we can do on our end to work together to bring this down, it certainly is a blight, to speak lightly.
But it takes willing partners.
It sure does,
and
yes, ma'am.
And again, it's a piece of the puzzle. Looking at doing civil citations for adults so that we can keep them from moving into the jail. Again, a piece of the puzzle, because if they're not in there, they're not getting medical services from us. So again, any comments are welcome.
Mr. Chair,
and anything I can do.
if I could suggest, Commissioner Bartz, I would ask that you also include Mr. Tipton Mr. Tipton in that meeting. I don't know when it's scheduled for, because he can throw the budgetary numbers in there as to what we're looking at. And so it's more of a team effort going in there trying to build that team. And then I would also suggest that maybe HR can look at maybe dedicating a person specific to do some deep dives into all of these, at least for the first 6 months. You know, go back a little bit and then bring it forward. I think that's what we had to do last time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
yeah. So they can really kind of hone in on if they can see where the issue's actually coming through. it's not just a blanket.
Point well made.
And Chair, I'd like to thank you for your recognition, 650%.
I was lowballing it, I guess. Yeah.
And you know, Mr. Tipton and I had a conversation, and we tried to think about, in the last 5 years, we talk about inflation, but what has really risen 650%? Gas prices, depending on the barrel of oil of the day, you know, may have doubled in price. As we shop for groceries, as much as I complain about the cost of goods and services going up, nothing that I can relate to has gone up 650%. So it's something that we need to get a handle on. And Commissioner Bartz, I appreciate that you recognize it really is a piece of the puzzle. I've tried to look at what are best practices to solve inmate medical. St. Lucie is somewhat unique in that the county manages that component. Most of our county political subdivisions, it's managed by the sheriff's office. But in addressing the drivers of costs, it does take the political will of our stakeholders, from public defender to state attorney to our judicial system and judges, the commission, to come together and look at what we can do. And as you astutely mentioned, I mean, there's a lot of different moving pieces that we would have to put in place to make the relevant changes, I think, that would have that significant impact that we're all looking for. So thank you for that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Next is an administration approval update from the PDS director, and filling in for Mai Tai is Ben Bolser.
Good morning, Chair Mitchell and Commissioners. Again, Ben Balser, Assistant Planning and Development Services Director for the record. This morning, I will be presenting 2 administrative approvals that were granted in the month of September. The first is a minor adjustment to the minor site plan for Coastal Flooring and Granite. This is an existing flooring material retailer located on the east side of South US Highway 1 in Port St. Lucie. The adjustment seeks to abandon the existing driveway access and create a shared access with the parcel to the south, which is the subject of the next update. Additionally, the adjustment expanded the stormwater retention area, and that was to accommodate the additional parking. The second project is the approval of a minor site plan to develop a 19,500 square foot Aldi grocery store on a 3-acre parcel to the south of the Coastal Flooring and Granite site. This parcel is located on the east side of South US Highway 1, approximately 260 feet north of the Savannah Club Boulevard and South US Highway 1 intersection. The proposal includes the store, vehicular use and loading areas, designated off-street and ADA parking, pedestrian connections, bike racks, site lighting, signage, dry stormwater retention, and the connection to central water and wastewater services via the Port St. Lucie Utility System Department. The project proposes a northbound right turn deceleration lane along US Highway 1 at the northern shared access with Coastal Flooring, and modifications to the US Highway 1 median to include a southbound left turn lane into the site. And that concludes my presentation on the administrative approval updates for the month of September, and I'm available for any questions that you have.
Any questions for Ben? Seeing none, keep up the good work. You guys are doing awesome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all of you.
Okay, we're moving on to Public Works.
My favorite item of the day.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Patrick Diane, your Public Works Director. I'm here with the other DZ, which is Dan Zaralik, your County Engineer. I'm pleased to present this item before you. This is going to cover items 10D1 and 10D2, which is the Midway Road Advanced Funding. And bear with me while I get this onto full screen mode. There we go. So we're going to talk a little bit about the story of Midway Road, and it really has all the components of a great story. It's got plot twists, it's got conflict, and ultimately it has victory. And it's one of those precious moments for this board to celebrate those victories that we get, because they don't come too often. and rarely do they come easy. So we're really pleased to bring this item before you. So a little bit about Midway Road itself. It's a critical east-west corridor. It's 12 miles in length. It connects two state roads. That's US Highway 1 as its major termini. It continues on to Indian River Drive. And then it also connects State Road 70 out by the county fairgrounds and the EOC. It's seen tremendous growth. As you can see there in this aerial, we have all the Southern Grove expansion that is going to be influencing the Midway Road traffic. That corridor will likely use Range Line, Glades Cutoff, and Midway Road to access points to the north. We have LTC Ranch, which has a 4,000 rooftop development that's been approved. We have Amazon, which is 1 million square feet of logistics center. That's 20 acres of building, put another way. And Willow Lakes, which is the surf park that is proposed west of Midway Road, and a 9,000 unit DRI known as Oak Ridge that is going to be off of Glades Cutoff Road. So what we know is that the minimum 4-lane build-out is going to be required, and that 500,000 people that are projected to be here within the next 20 years are going to need access to a major east-west corridor. So let's go back in time and talk a little bit about the history of improvements. Based on that 12-mile corridor, it's had to be improved in phases, and we're going to work from east to west. Most recently, the section between US 1 to 25th Street was improved. We had our ribbon cutting in late 2021. That included a section through historic White City, as well as a new bridge over 10 Mile Creek, which is a FEMA regulatory floodway. The next section between 25th Street west to Selvitz Road was completed in 2016 by the county, using only county roadway impact fees at an investment of $12 million. The segment from Selvitz to Jenkins is designed and it is shovel ready. The segment from Jenkins to Glades, including the bridge over the Florida Turnpike, is partially designed, and the segment from Glades Cutoff Road to I-95 is already 4-laned. West of I-95, we do have developer commitments that have been issued road impact fee credit agreements through the county to 4-lane that section of the roadway. So the section between Glades Cutoff Road to Selvitz is about 1 3/4 miles in length, and it was originally conceived as a single project. So back in 2014, the purpose and the need verified the need for the then projected 2035 traffic horizon. So now we're at the 2045 planning horizon through our TPO. We understand that the outpacing growth beyond the Bieber estimates are going to further cement the need for the 4-laning. In 2015, the county undertook a PD&E study that really looks at environmental traffic, social justice, cultural, historical, noise, and it requires a lot of public involvement, and it's absolutely critical. It's a necessary component for any federal dollars to be spent on a roadway project. In 2016 is really where we started to cement the concept of a turnpike interchange at Midway Road. It had always been discussed, but really the board and staff started pushing on the necessary components in order to get a turnpike interchange constructed at Midway Road. Enter in your high drama. That involves a third party that we're talking to now, the Florida Turnpike Interchange or Florida Turnpike Authority, and working out who's going to pay for what created some additional complexity. Because of that complexity, the project was then split into two. So we have our eastern segment, which is between Jenkins and Selvitz, and then we have the western section between Jenkins and Glades Cutoff Road. In parallel with that, the Turnpike Authority was also doing a PD&E study for their mainline widening. So that looks at a 4-lane of travel in either direction between Jupiter and Fort Pierce. That helped to inform what type of interchange would be required at the Midway Road and the Turnpike intersection. So focusing in on that eastern section that was continuing on with design, I won't spend too much time on this. I know it's a very busy drawing, but suffice to say it's a 4-lane divided section, 12-foot multi-use path on the south side, 6-foot sidewalk on the north side, and landscaping consistent with the previous sections of Midway Road. So it's going to match the segment to the east that has already been improved. We'll look to see that it has a ranking in the TPO's list of priority projects of number 2, and it's really the top infrastructure project on that list, and this is critical for state and federal dollars to be awarded to the project. And back in 2021, that's exactly what happened. So for the segment between Jenkins and Selvitz Road, the county applied for and was awarded 2 grants. They're TRIP grants and CIGP grants in those amounts shown, as well as committing a $8.3 million road impact fee contribution towards the construction of the project. And the way that DOT grants work is you have a 5-year horizon. So if you apply in 2021, you will be ready to use that money in 2026 as they work in 5-year cycles. We know that the project would be ready to go for construction before that. So now for the subject of the day, and the Roman philosopher Seneca is credited with the phrase, luck is the intersection of preparation and opportunity. So the board prepared. We prepared for this by meeting and strategizing in early 2021 to talk about advanced funding, looking at our available resources. The board passed a resolution in mid-2021 for a bond validation to set up potential debt service to pay for these road projects. We met in early March with the Department of Transportation, sent them a follow-up letter, and received a confirmation in April of this year indicating that there was willingness to move ahead and accelerate that project. And I think that this is really important to highlight. DOT is a very systematic organization. When they put out a 5-year work plan, they stick to that 5-year work plan. It is no easy feat to undo this. So this is truly something worth highlighting, and a really, I think it's just a benefit to show how hard this board and staff have worked to get this done. And how here we are today.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to add on to it because he's leaving out an important part of that. It's also been 2 or 3 years, I believe, since FDOT had actually done an advanced funding project. So this was kind of like really eye-opening because it was like we are not real sure all the way down the pipeline. So it was, in my eyes, a miracle that it happened.
Yep. To Commissioner Hutchinson's point, the pandemic hitting really paused any moving of money around by DOT. They really didn't know, with everybody traveling a lot less, how much gas tax revenue was going to come in, which is their primary funding source. So it was really we had to push. Let me just leave it at that. So now we've looked at the 2021 construction funding, and now this is the 2022 updated construction funding. So this is that opportunity part of the intersection of preparation and opportunity. So because we were ready and other projects may not have been ready, there was additional funding that came down, which effectively created an equivalent split between the 2021 projections for the cost of the project and the 2026 projections. What I mean to say is that the previous estimates were $24 million to construct this project. Based on inflation and other factors, the new estimate is $32 million. The original conversation we had with DOT was that the county would need to make up the difference. If we wanted to accelerate it, we were going to have to pay for it. But because we have readiness and because other projects did not get to that readiness state, we've seen other federal funding come down, and that has kept the distribution of funding at just about 1/3 of the project costs coming out of county road impact fees. You'll notice that there are 2 separate local funding agreements that have been set up, and this was in order to maximize the amount of non-local dollars being used. So we have the first one for construction, which is using a couple of the different funding resources, state and federal, the CIGP and the TRIP grants. The TRIP grant can only be used for construction. That's why it is in this LFA. And you'll see there the repayment. The repayment is going to begin in 2026. From a cash flow perspective, the Department of Transportation needed to keep the resources available in 2026. So even though we'll be fronting the money in early 2023, we will not start getting reimbursement until 2026, and we'll do that in quarterly draws over 2.5 years as though it were a construction project happening then. So that's the construction local funding agreement. The second local funding agreement is for construction, engineering, and inspection, or CEI, and post-design services. And it's important to note that typically District 4 does not reimburse for design, CEI, or other post-design services. They were able to find this money and really help us out. The county is getting a 50% discount on the CEI and post-design services. In order to make that facilitate, that's why we had to set it up with 2 separate funding agreements. So for the next steps, if the board chooses to execute these two local funding agreements today, we would then send those down to DOT. This is their schedule, so as long as they hit the benchmarks of executing them on their end by December, we would then issue the payment to the department in January 2023. They would go through some quick post-production checks, that is to make sure any specifications that have been updated are in the plans, and final QA, QC for a construction letting in July 2023. The next steps are the segment to the west. So we talked about the segment to the east, which is that item shown in yellow as number 1. But what about the segment to the west between Jenkins and Glades Cutoff Road? So the status on that is that the county is moving ahead to complete the design of the bridge. We are working with the consultant that has done the preliminary design. Because of the Turnpike's 4-laning, we now have a wider, higher, longer bridge. So we had to go back up a couple steps and redesign some of the portions that were originally done. However, that is going to happen over the next 12 to 18 months, and the county is committed to funding that bridge. That bridge will also be compatible with both northbound and southbound ramps in the Turnpike interchange. So speaking about the Turnpike interchange has been broken up into 2 separate projects. The north ramps, which are far more complex, involve some right-of-way issues and potentially some reprofiling based on the grade of the Turnpike itself. And then the south ramps, which largely have all of the right-of-way that's necessary except for some on the east, and can fit with the existing grades that are out there. The Turnpike Authority has committed to, at least verbally we've seen, that they are going to design those south ramps in FY23. So the design will be ready, and then the conversation about how to fund and who to fund it is going to be for a future conversation. So that's the latest status on that. That completes the presentation, and we're here for any questions.
Any questions from the board?
I have one. Dan, do you have anything you'd like to add or say?
It's taken a lot of work to get here. It's been a very good learning process for me, but there is a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into this, and a lot of the effort comes from Commissioner Hutchinson, constantly pushing on us to make progress. But we've done a lot, and we have a lot of work to do. The Turnpike interchange started out as a kind of an option, but it's moving forward that it's really going to happen. When it happens, that's next, but at least it's in, the south ramps are in design, and that was a big hurdle we had to overcome. So it's gratifying to see all these efforts come to this.
I just didn't want you to be left out. And again, thank you for recognizing Commissioner Hutchinson, because you have really been the champion on that whole entire corridor and road, Franny. And I think without your tenacity of keeping it going and riding staff and everything, it probably wouldn't have been.
Yeah, well, we have very qualified, very good staff that
we do.
They know the importance of this.
No, they do.
Because we talk the bigger picture.
But you stayed with them and you stayed on it, so that was important. I just didn't want you to feel left out because he did such an amazing job. But I wanted you to have a word.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, add in too is that we identified this as a jobs corridor years ago. I'm going to say 2009, 10-ish, and I think and I hope that has been a benefit to securing additional dollars as we have done in other areas of the county. Jobs corridors are important. Once this road gets built, that business center that is located to the north side of the Midway, I suspect will grow pretty significantly. You see contenders in there now. Other folks are looking at that property as to invest, and again, keeping with our economic development focus, trying to take pressure off residential taxation is important to continue that commercial investment, outside investment in our community. So,
Mr. Chair,
go ahead,
if I could add just one more thing, it's going to be incumbent of those that sit on the TPO board now and in the future, that if you look at that list of projects, you've got the Midway Turnpike interchange is listed as number 4. That really needs to go up in play now that we're advanced funding. That section of Midway from Glades to Selvett should be dropping off.
Bring it up.
You're going to have to fight to put it up there to number 2.
We understand that public comment will be available whenever you have some free time.
Oh, I
I just wanted to, yesterday we had a discussion in my office, Patrick. This is just for the general public's knowledge. What it costs to do a mile of sidewalk is what it used to cost to do a mile of roadway. Think about that for a second. Do these have to be voted separately, Mr. McIntyre?
Yes, sir, they're two separate projects.
Okay. I'll entertain them.
Mr. Chair, I'll
Gentlemen,
move
great
approval
job.
of 10D1, which is the LFA local funding agreement with FDOT.
Approve, second.
You can't approve it without a vote, Chris. Hold on.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Zadowski. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to Midway Road number 2.
Franny.
I'll move approval of item 10D2, which again is Midway Road, LFA with DOT.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hutchinson, a second by Commissioner Zadowski. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Good job. Thanks for all your hard work. Moving on to number 11, Mr. Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, and congratulations on that Midway vote. That is actually a really big deal for this community. I want to reiterate, as was mentioned in our opening comments there, that the Bright Line speed tests are commencing. I believe they're starting this Wednesday and will continue for several weeks. So please, please obey the traffic signals and flag persons that are out there. The 7th annual Indian River Lagoon Science Festival is going to be on Saturday, October 22nd at Veterans Memorial Park in downtown Fort Pierce. And our next regular meeting is Tuesday, November the 1st at 6 p.m. here in these chambers.
Thank you, and I'll have entertain.
Mr. Chair, I just want to recognize on Thursday last week, October 13th, the Fire District has a nonprofit within it called Little Feet, and I'd like to recognize this board, Commissioner or Chairman Mitchell, Commissioner Hutchinson, Commissioner Bartz and Commissioner Townsend, who were there at the event on Thursday evening. Little Feet, for those of you who are unfamiliar, is a nonprofit where a firefighter had gone into a fire scenario where a child had come out of or had been brought out of a fire scenario. The child had shoes that were ill-fitting, and it took that firefighter by surprise, and the feet of the children were sticking out over the toes of the shoes, and the mom or somebody had cut the canvas out of the shoes so that the child could actually have something to stand and walk on while wearing a pair of shoes that were ill-fitting. So that firefighter moved forward and tried to raise funds, actually went and bought shoes for that child that day, and since then created the nonprofit called Little Feet, as organized by the St. Lucie County Fire District. And as part of that, tens of thousands of dollars in shoes have been purchased by and for the children who have been found to be in need. And also, during that process, the firefighters also have supported Surfers for Autism. A firefighter at the district has a child that has on the spectrum of autism, and they work with children using surfing as a tool in which to engage them and to garner that much more from the child's abilities. That said, that particular firefighter engaged an artist who created a art piece from a surfboard. That surfboard was also brought to the auction. There was an auction Thursday night. And I'd like to also recognize A&G Pools, who were a specific and a major sponsor of that event for many, many years. I will tell you that the entire event raised over $43,000 in a three-hour time period, of which $10,000 was donated, or I should say offered for the surfboard. So Surfers for Autism received $10,000 for that organization. They had only expected to maybe raise $1,000. So $33,000 has been raised for Little Feet. So a lot of shoes will be purchased for children in need. And I just want to recognize again Commissioner Townsend. I think you were a bidder the other night, and Commissioner Bartz also. And I just want to thank you for your attendance, and just want to share that I want to say thank you to Brenda Stokes and all of the folks who are on the board of Little Feet nonprofit. It's a good story to tell, and this is just a typical aspect of what St. Lucie County is. We're a different county. We are very different than anybody else in this state. We come together and we work to benefit our community in so many ways. I just had to recommend and say this out loud because I think it gets unnoticed, and I just wanted to say it out loud. So thank you.
And you were a great pirate.
I was a pirate.
Well said. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.